What is happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the 182 News Podcast. This is your host, Poppin' Curbs. And I told you, I thought we were going to be renewed for season 3. We're back. It's going down. So I want to welcome everybody back. Hope everybody had a great holiday season. It was a nice little break. I have a little guy who just turned 3, so it was a lot of fun to, kind of see him interact and understand Santa a little bit for the first time. So that was cool. I gotta say, if Santa is fake, can we get more than one at the mall? We stood in line for like 2 hours to sit on that old man's lap, and I'm thinking, we could totally get 3 or 4 Santas. I'm going to pitch that to Shark Tank here coming up soon. It was kind of ridiculous, honestly. And we even had like the Santa Fast Pass. Come on, we need more Santas. Anyways, the big thing for the holidays for me is I finally got Zelda Breath of the Wild. So for anybody who happens to pay attention to my Twitch streams, I've been streaming that. I was wanting to play this for, 4 years, but Nintendo never puts anything on sale. And I was firm in my stance that I wanted a sale on a 4-year-old game. And long story short, I lost that. And I had to ask Santa Claus for it. Santa Claus delivered. I've been having a lot of fun playing that. Honestly, there's no way I would have been able to get through that game by myself without folks in the Twitch chat helping me through all the puzzles and shit. So if you played that, if you enjoyed it, and you want to watch a genuine moron play it for the first time, check me out on Twitch at Poppin' Curbs, and let's have some fun with that. I don't know if I mentioned on the last episode. So the last episode we did was the top 10 most underrated Blink-182 songs of all time. And that was a big episode. Got a lot of great feedback on that. Honestly, the downloads on the pod the past few weeks have been blowing up. I don't know who's listening or where you are, but I appreciate it. That was a fun episode to kind of go through the top 10 most underrated Blink songs. If you haven't heard that, go back and listen to it. I'm not going to spoil it, even though you should have known my top 10 by now. But I don't know if at the beginning of that pod I mentioned the recent show I had went to. I caught Alkaline Trio, and then I ended up catching Neck Deep. And God, I damn near was thinking about doing an entire episode about Neck Deep. So the Enema of the State 20th Anniversary Tour 2019, Neck Deep opened for Blink. And I kind of knew about Neck Deep. I think I knew In Bloom. I knew December with when Mark did it with them. And I've always thought they were rad. And when they went and opened for Blink, I caught them multiple times over that summer. And they really just won me over. I'm like, oh my gosh, these dudes fucking rip. Like, their guitarist, Matt, is just going nuts. Their songs were super catchy. I mean, it was just a level of pop punk that I really just hadn't heard in a long time, really, since probably Blink at that point in time. So they really won me over. And then the St. Louis show I went to that summer, Lil Wayne actually couldn't make it. I think he was having issues with the law at the hotel or something. And they played an extended set, and they've really just been on my radar since then. Like, I love their music. I think they kick ass. And so anyways, in November, I was so stoked to finally go see him. And I had the little VIP package, and I got to do the sound check and kind of chat with them before the show and shit, which was really rad. For those of you who follow the pod page, you probably saw some of those, but I just wanted to report back on that. That was fucking awesome. I'm so bummed that their shows got cut short due to COVID. So unfortunately, what we're seeing is this is starting to happen once again. I feel terrible for these bands who have waited, a year and a half, damn near 2 years at this point. They have not been able to really get out, do what they love, do what they're meant to do. And they finally get this stuff put together. They finally get back out on the road. So much goes into this shit. If you think about what goes into planning a tour, from the TM to, the tour manager, from booking everything, from creating and designing the merch and ordering the merch and having all that ready to roll, and the traveling and all that stuff. And for all of that to just all of a sudden just get sent straight to shit, it's just a bummer. And so unfortunately, at the end of their tour, they had a couple shows left. They couple of them came down with COVID. and it got cut short, but I'm stoked for, any new music they have coming. And if you get a chance to listen to them or check them out, I just want to plug those dudes hardcore because they fucking kick ass and I love their albums. And I've been kind of growing a neck deep vinyl collection since I saw them a couple months ago. So check those dudes out for sure. I also saw some Motion City soundtrack Mark has produced for them before. They finally got back out. I think they literally played one show and had to cancel the entire tour. I mean, obviously, the Alkaline Trio, Bad Religion tour, BR got hit with that towards the end. They've had to reschedule a little bit. So I just feel so terrible for folks right now. And it's all industries, but particularly the arts and the music and such. It's just been absolutely rocked by fucking COVID. And right when we think things are going to get back, we've got this stupid new variant. I mean, I feel like everybody I know has COVID right now. So, stay safe if you catch it. Honestly, as much as I hate to say it, I feel like everybody's just going to catch it at this point. But stay safe out there, do what you can. And for those of you who have it or are going through it, have had it, I hope you had a speedy recovery and it wasn't too bad, but it's kind of scary, honestly, and I'll get to it a little bit later, but there's this huge festival that was announced, and it's the When We Were Young festival. And even though that is in October, it's sad that I'm already concerned about that. And then what's even more sad is the thought of, I don't even know how many tickets are going to sell, but the thought of 50,000 people or 100,000 people in a field. I mean, Jesus Christ, that terrifies me at this point. And I was terrified of festivals to begin with because I'm fucking old and I don't like standing 2 miles back in the hot weather, sweating my ass off. So, I don't know. It just sucks. It really just fucking sucks. And it's crazy that we're still talking about this 2 years later. But, anyways, that's my little rant on that, I guess. But, all things considered, it's been an okay month for me. This past week was kind of surprising from a music aspect. We had some rad things. Obviously, I'll get to Mark's stuff here in a bit. But for me, I listen to all types of music, like literally anything but country. I was thinking about this earlier. Is there a meme or something that's ABC's anything but country? I feel like if not, I invented that. I'm gonna adopt that. But when people ask me what I listen to, it's anything but country. So I'll be listening to death metal one day, reggae the next, jazz the next. And the past month, I've been kind of surprised by some of the stuff that's been coming out, and it's been a pleasant surprise. So one of my favorite bands is Muse. They came out with a new song that fucking rips, and the lyrics are sick. Korn, I love Korn. I'm actually seeing them in March, I think. They're coming out with a new album. They came out with a couple new songs. On the hip hop side of things, I love hip hop. Lil Wayne dropped a new kind of mixtape that actually is pretty rad. So the past couple of weeks, even outside of Blink and sideband land, have been a pleasant surprise for me. So that's pretty dope. But anyways, today's episode is going to be more of a news. So obviously the podcast is named 182 News, and maybe for those of you who haven't heard previous episodes, or if this is your first one, initially when I launched the pod 2 years ago, at this point, I really wanted to have these episodes getting everybody caught up on what the recent news surrounding Blink and sideband land is. That's why it's called 182 News. I didn't want you to have to fucking dig through Reddit to get new Blink news, or dig through forums, or have to find a Blink fan page on social media to get any bits of information. I wanted to kind of have it, excuse me, in some sort of nice audio form and get that out there. Now, what ended up happening is I ended up getting some rad interviews, which was dope. So if you haven't listened to those, if this is your first episode, go back and listen to some of those episodes, like Christopher Holmes or Mr. T-Shirt, Dylan Anderson, Terminal Radness, and you'll get some really fucking cool insight and stories from those guests who were kind enough to come on. So check those out. If this is your first time listening, I appreciate you. Go back and check out the interviews for sure. But this is going to be kind of a catch-up episode on where we are. And, you don't think there's a lot going on right now, but as I started kind of jotting down, ideas or thoughts for the episodes, there's some stuff happening. We got a few things to talk about. So I figured, you know what? Let's kick off season 3. We're going to get a new episode out this month, and let's heckin' go. So first things first, let's start with Mark Hoppus. My friend, Mark Hoppus. Recently, it has just been so fucking great to see that man holding a bass guitar. And for those of you who have been kind of paying attention to his Twitch, he's been streaming quite a bit. and not us playing video games or bingo. He's been playing music, and it's been amazing. He has basically been doing 6-song set lists that he's letting fans pick out. And the fans, a lot of these are folks on his Discord, they're not holding back on the deep cuts here. And it's kind of rad because we're starting to see songs that really have never been played before. And, they're getting played for the very first time. Now, he's doing these on bass. He's not singing on these, but, he's playing them, a lot of them on the bass that Dawid and Alan made. So if you've tuned into these streams, and you're seeing him play this beautiful bass guitar that's kind of purple and teal, and it's got, rad drawings on it and such. That is a guitar that was made by Alan Corona. So Alan's been on the pod. I have a full interview with Alan, probably a year ago at this point, about his process. He literally makes guitars from scratch, bass guitars typically, that are amazing. And then my friend David Salis, who's a designer, they collabed and they made this guitar for Mark. So I actually have an entire episode on that and how that came to be. So if you're wondering what bass Mark's playing, I've seen some people in the chat saying that. That's the bass. Go back and listen to the previous episode. I believe it's called Mark's New Bass, probably 5 or 6 months back. Go back and listen to that, and you'll get the entire story of that bass guitar, which is really rad. But he's been playing a lot of it on that. He actually busted out what's been, I guess, permanently nicknamed Scully. It's kind of the Untitled era bass guitar that's really rad. And, some of the songs that he's been playing, like he played Rabbit Hole, which, from California, deep cut, never been played live. Pin the Grenade, No Heart to Speak Of, Last Train Home, New Hope, Asthenia, Carousel. He actually played the extended intro of Carousel, which Davy Jones said was the first time that had been done since 1994, which is crazy. He's putting in Plus 44, so he's played Chapter 13, When Your Heart Stops Beating. Simple Creatures has been in there, Adrenaline, Special. So definitely check those out if you haven't. For a while there, he was doing it every other day, but he has said that, he's working himself back up playing bass guitar again. And just to see his smile and how much joy that brings him when he's playing, it honestly just makes me so happy. It makes me so fucking happy. And, for those of you tuning in to him on Twitch, all of the proceeds from subs, from donations, it all goes to one of two places. One is either the Children's Hospital of LA, which is an amazing cause. And the second is he has a fundraiser for cancer research for the type of cancer he had. And he's raising money for that. And that's already almost at $30,000 just from a handful of months of streaming and folks, being kind enough to donate. So it's really just an amazing thing. And, I hope you get a chance to catch it. Unfortunately, the videos can't be saved because Twitch will pull down anything with music. You can't keep those as videos on demand. It violates laws, unfortunately. And even though it's his own songs, it's kind of crazy. But yeah, they can't stay up. So it's one of those things that really you got to kind of catch it live. And I hope you all have had a chance to do that. So again, at this point, I'm stoked for anything Blink. I feel like we've been stuck in this quarantine and this COVID situation. And then obviously Mark got sick, and it's just been a weird fucking year and a half or 2 years. And so to see us hopefully kind of getting out of that and see Mark playing the bass again, it's just really cool. And it's still early 2022. So we're going to see where we go with that. Now, something that really caught me off guard last week is Mark had 2 songs drop. And he was a special guest on these. Now, the first, and I hadn't heard of this artist, but he's pretty rad, is a dude named Smart Death. So all of a sudden, I wake up, Mark just put in his Instagram story or Twitter or something like, oh, new song featuring me, which was dope, and it's called Adding Up. Now, again, I'd never heard of this artist, but obviously I'm going to check out anything that any of the Blink dudes are affiliated with. And, I open it up, I start listening to it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a bit of a banger. Like, this is a great song. Now, what's really crazy about this is Mark has mentioned that he wrote this when he was sick with cancer and didn't know, honestly, if he was going to make it. And, to me, that's something that it just breaks my heart. And to think of what he was going through at that time and the lyrics that he wrote on this and what he put into this, it really, it gives me goosebumps just to think about it, and as I'm listening to this, I just love Mark's melody on this song, and I love the lyrics on this. So he says, "Foot on the gas, head in the clouds, mind in the gutter, eaten alive like a victim of cancer. I'm down and out, how do I keep falling down?" I mean, listen to those lyrics. Foot on the gas, head in the clouds, mind in the gutter, eaten alive like a victim of cancer. So obviously, he's talking about what he was going through at the time right there, where literally his blood's trying to kill him, which is crazy. I'm down and out. So he's saying right there, like, I might be done. How do I keep falling down? And that's something that just breaks my heart. And it's an awesome, deep line. I think it's very introspective of where he was at that time. And I don't know how many of you all typically check out his side stuff or features and such, but really in the past couple years, it's something that's been really cool to see how much Mark, Travis, and the Blink dudes are giving back to other artists. And this goes back to, I think it's so important how artists put other artists on. And, really the traditional way back in the day was letting a band open for you, You may think that the promoters or whoever set this stuff up, just like the real world, a lot of this is who you know. So if you get on the bill to open for Blink, a lot of times Blink chose that, or these bands chose that. I've asked Mark before, for example, the Naked and Famous. I didn't know who they were. Caught them on the deluxe tour. All of a sudden, like, I'm a huge fan of them. Now I know about them. I asked Mark how they, lined up with them, and he said, we liked them. We asked them. Neck Deep opened for Blink. They asked them. And I think it's just so important. And I just love seeing, especially, where Blink is at this point in their career. Obviously, they have influenced tons and tons of people, but they're at the point where they're really giving back. And it's something that, if you go listen to old podcasts with like Davy Jones about the early days, this is what bands like, Pennywise did for them, and UL. It's just a cool thing about, the punk rock community. Everybody's homies. It reminds me of my conversation I had with David Stowe of Van and Watches. He basically said at the time, he's like, everybody in that community is like so tight, and they all look out for each other, and they're all homies, and they're all supportive. And it's just a really cool thing. And I've thought about that where, think about bands you have seen and bands you have come to enjoy or listen to or go see a show or have a little bit of fun with that you discovered at that show that were maybe opening for them. Case in point for me, Neck Deep. If it wasn't for Blink bringing them out, I don't know that I would be enjoying Neck Deep as much as I am right now. The Naked and Famous, like I just mentioned. And then that cycle just continues. So it's like, because I saw Neck Deep with Blink, I went and saw Neck Deep a couple months ago in St. Louis. And who did they put on? They put on a band called Boston Manor that I had never heard of. And I was fucking blown away by them. Listened to it, listening to them live. Have since gone and listened to all their stuff and followed them. There was another band playing, opening for Neck Deep called Heart Attack Man, who I love. I mean, heavy, like Nirvana, Alkaline Trio influence, the type of music that I just fucking love. And it's just crazy how that spirals, and that, it's just paying it forward. It's passing it along. And so think about that. Are there bands that you love that maybe you discovered opening for a bigger band who was rad enough, kind enough to put them on their bill for that very reason? I mean, that is how this cycle works. So, that's in regards to concerts, live music. But then to an extent, my whole point with that is when Blink is doing these features, it's really opening my eyes up to this artist. So this dude, Smart Death, never heard of him. Obviously do now. As soon as I listened to his song with Mark, went and checked out all the other songs he had that were out at that point. Definitely going to listen to his whole album whenever it drops. I think too, like the Oliver Tree collab with Blink, which I still love that song. Just listened to it the other day, and I'd never heard of him. Does a song with Blink, go back, listen to the whole album. Love that dude. He's a clown. So it's really, really cool, just to kind of think about something as simple as you would think just guesting on a song or something as a huge favor to these artists, but it really just opens them up and opens up their fan base, and it's just something really cool to see. So check that song out if you haven't heard it. Just dropped last week. It's called Adding Up by Smart Death. I hope I'm saying that name right. It's got to be. It's SMRT Death. Apologies if that's incorrect, but Smart Death featuring Mark Hoppus. The other one, and this is another band that I discovered because of Blink, is A Day to Remember. And obviously I know a lot of you are probably like, oh my God, you didn't know who fucking A Day to Remember is? Honestly, I didn't until the Blink California tour, 5, 6 years ago. A Day to Remember dropped a song called Reentry with Mark. Pleasant surprise, came out of nowhere, banger. They kick ass, especially live. Those dudes rip. And there's something about that bridge in that song that I just fucking love. So this is Mark, he comes in on this bridge and he says, "And I don't know when I'll be back again, caught a cabin fever that never ends." And it just repeats and it just repeats. And to me it's like haunting. And I think it's something that all of us can kind of feel like we're dealing with. I can for sure. Caught a cabin fever that never ends. Cabin fever is literally when you're going fucking crazy because you're stuck like in isolation in the same place in the same house. You're frozen in for the winter in your little cabin, and it's just you and your brain. And so Mark's line there is, and I don't know when I'll be back again. So I take that as, I don't know when he jotted down these lyrics, but this potentially could have been when he was sick, and he could literally be saying, I don't know when I'll be back. Um, and to some extent, that's probably something where he's with the COVID situation and being stuck. It's like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to play a show again. I don't know if Mark know and Travis and Matt, I don't know if they know right now when Blink is playing a show again or when they can. Obviously all these bands right now, they're canceling for the next 2, 3 months. And it's something it's kind of weird to me. I'm seeing bands push shit from like February to April. And it's like, okay, is that really going to solve everything? I don't know. I'm so glad I'm not making those decisions. But, anyways, I really like that line. Caught a cabin fever that never ends. And it's something where, when this pandemic first started, we thought this was going to be, oh, everybody stays at home for 3 weeks. We'll eliminate this shit. Boom, done. And then it was, oh my gosh, we got a vaccine. We're going to eliminate this shit. Boom, done. Here we are 2 years later. It's fucking like worse as ever. I don't know. It's just crazy. Sometimes I just wake up and I'm thinking, how the fuck did we get here? Like, this is crazy. I cannot believe we're still dealing with this shit. 2 years later. So caught a cabin fever that never ends. That certainly is how I feel. It kind of sucks. Let's switch gears a tad, and I want to talk about Travis a little bit. So the big thing about Travis is, obviously I think he's working on the new stuff with Machine Gun Kelly. So Born with Horns is going to be that album. So that's going to be huge. I mean, I said on my very first podcast, I think it was a very first fucking podcast I did, I said Travis Barker will go down as a legendary producer. And everybody was like, oh, you're crazy. He's only done Give the Drummer Some, and he's just kind of working on some stuff on the side. What happens right after that? He launches DTA Records. He's on literally like every amazing song right now. That album with MGK just absolutely like took an entire genre and revived it. I mean, it's crazy what Travis has done really throughout the pandemic. I mean, it goes to show just how much work that dude does. I mean, he said from the very beginning, nobody cares, go harder. Like, that dude is a machine, constantly going. So it's just something where, I'm not surprised at all. And I called it. I said this from the very beginning. You think he's done just making one amazing album with MGK that just takes over the world? No. He's going to keep going. He's going to keep getting these top artists, and he's going to keep delivering for sure. So he's building an empire. And, DTA Records are really, really, they're starting to come up quite a bit. And the most recent news that I've seen on this is they signed Avril Lavigne. Now, Avril Lavigne, Obviously, a lot of you know her from back in the day from like the Skater Boy song. I mean, that's kind of like when I think of Avril Lavigne, that's kind of what I go back to at the time. But Avril Lavigne, I've since found she's the pop punk queen. I mean, I was shocked. I looked at her when they announced that. I knew Travis had been working with her, and obviously she's involved with like John Feldman and Mod Sun. So again, tight knit community, looking out for each other, helping each other, creating. It's a beautiful thing. And I went and looked. Avril Lavigne has 20 million followers on Instagram, folks. Not that that's, the gauge of your life, but Travis has two. I think Mark has one. Avril Lavigne has 20 million followers on Instagram. So for those of you who are thinking, oh, I haven't heard about her since Skater Boy. Well, apparently she's been doing pretty well the past 20 years because I was shocked. And so this is a huge win for Avril and Travis, and actually she was just on Mark's radio show this past week. After school radio, it's on Tuesdays, really rad. And she had an extended conversation with Mark on there. And basically, it was really cool because, Mark asked her about this and working with Travis. And she said that, this is really one of the first times that she had no boundaries, no label telling you what to sound like or what to do. And so she had went in and kind of worked on some stuff with Travis, and they just kicked it off so well. And it was so dope that they just decided to sign her to DTA Records. So huge congrats to them on that. And the reason I bring this up as well is Mark is going to be featured on a song of hers. So that song is called All I Wanted. And that's going to drop actually, I think it's February 22nd. It's the end of February. So here we are, straight out of the gate. We got 3 new songs from Mark dropping in the first quarter. So, let's heck and go. Stoked to hear that. Looking forward to that. Let's talk about Hi, My Name is Mark for a second. So obviously, if you've ever seen me or my page or whatever, I rock Hi, My Name is Mark pretty much exclusively because it's so sick. And one of the big things that's going to be happening this year that people ask me about and that's getting brought up quite a bit recently is Mark's going to come out with a new signature bass. Okay. He hasn't in a long time. A lot of people have been wanting one. And it's going to be a beautiful hot pink. What we know so far is there have been 2 prototypes. The first one was a Jaguar, and it had Jaguar neck. In prototype 2, that neck is being switched to a precision neck. And I haven't played a Jaguar bass, honestly, so I don't know how much harder Jaguar neck is to play, but I believe Mark said the reason why is just the Jag is easier to play. I don't know if it's maybe a little bit smaller. It's not a shorter scale, but regardless, prototype 2, I think he just got, is Jaguar body, precision neck, okay? The ETA for that is looking like April-ish. These are going to be exclusively through the Hi, My Name is Mark website. Price point, people are asking about this. It's been thrown around 1,200-ish. Obviously this is just information that's kind of been sporadically dropped over the past several months. So don't hold me to any of this, but I'm looking forward to that. So that's going to drop hopefully in April, 1,200-ish. And I know initially they were hoping to just do a run of like 50, but Mark has since said that, they don't want to create any fights over this or people not being able to get it. So I think they're looking into some sort of system that maybe you can make a deposit to kind of secure one ahead of time, almost like a pre-order. I think that's probably the right way to do it. I mean, that's a big chunk of change for a lot of people. So, I think the best way to kind of make sure they know how many to make and to ensure everybody gets one who wants one is some sort of deposit system. Otherwise, you'll have 500 people say, yeah, I want one. And then it comes out and it's like, oh, fuck, I don't have $1,200, which is fine, but that's just realistic. And if you're paying whoever to make these, Fender or whoever, then, you got to make sure your numbers line up to some extent. So I know a lot of people are stoked for that. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be getting one of those for sure. And I'll finally stop playing my shitty little Squire. It'll be a sad day, but a great day. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to New Blink. So we know really at the beginning of quarantine that Blink had new stuff. And Mark had said at one point they had 10-ish songs that they were pretty happy with. This is, of course, prior to Mark's cancer. And so this has been a while, And then during that time, Alkaline Trio went out. Matt was interviewed at one point and asked about New Blink. Matt said that he thinks they could sum it up and get it finished really within a matter of weeks. Everybody obviously wants to know when New Blink is coming, what we're getting. I touched on this, I think, a little bit on the last pod. Are they working on stuff? I bet they are. Do they have stuff in the bag? Obviously. I mean, they said they had 10 songs a year and a half ago. I don't know if at this point, who knows how finished those songs are. Are those songs ready to be released? Are those songs 80%? I don't know. But I think we're going to get New Blink this year. And that is purely based on just what we know, on my speculation. Do I think it's going to happen next month? I don't know. I doubt it. Like I said in the previous pod, if you start looking at how things line up, obviously bands are not doing anything these next couple months. I'll get into it a little bit, but Trio goes out for a little bit in March. Obviously, Matt's not going to be available during that. I think ideally, if it was my, way of thinking about this from a label standpoint or from a manager standpoint or something, I would say keep working on new stuff. Let's hopefully get something out. Shoot for 182 day. That seems to be the most ideal time to launch something anymore. It's almost like set in stone as a great summer day of Blink songs. And let's get something out then. And then maybe by that point, hopefully to God, you can line up some shows for summer, late summer, leading into fall. I think that timeline makes sense. Obviously, they have stuff in the bag. I don't know, it could be that a year and a half later, that's not the direction they want to go, or they've been working on stuff since then. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on that. But that's kind of where we are. I know that's not a ton of information, but obviously, as it comes out, we'll start to figure it out. I don't know how, this is something of all bands, I don't know how bands keep all this stuff a secret. It's so crazy to me, especially if you have a song for like 2 years. I need to ask Mark that. Like, how do you not release a snippet? Tom's bad at this. We know how Tom is. If Tom gets something, he might be able to hold it in for a little bit, but Tom will put a teaser out. You can't help it. But I don't know how bands do it. I cannot imagine how difficult that is to sit on finished fucking bangers and not be able to put anything out or not, tease it or anything. That's an interesting question for really all artists. I need to ask some folks that. I just don't understand how folks do it. So, we got to be patient. Obviously, Mark's getting back into the swing of things. I don't think he's 100% yet. I think he's probably getting 80-ish, 90-ish range, which is amazing. Let's let him ease back into it, support him on the Twitch streams, and let's hope for New Blink. Maybe, I think best case, summer will be rad. It's pretty crazy. Quarantine was the last Blink song to drop. And, we're going on a year and a half. So, it's just wild. Other news in Blink land. On my Instagram live the other day, those are kind of fun. I never, if I have something to talk about, I'll do them, but I never know if literally 2 people are going to show up or like 75. I don't know. The last one, there was actually quite a few people, but, Blink released these Fuku boxes or Fuck You boxes. I don't know how to pronounce them. I need to ask Mr. T-shirt. Anyways, these are fun. And what it is, it's kind of like a grab bag. It was a mystery box, end of the year. This is a great way for places and stores to really give you a great sale and kind of clear out some inventory looking forward to the next year and such. So anyways, they launched these Fuku boxes. They'd done these several years back. Mr. T-shirt loves these. And it was $40 a box. And you had a chance you were guaranteed 3 shirts and 3 accessories. And they sold it by size. So obviously, you're not going to get rocked with like a small when you're an XL or something. So you had to buy it by size. It was $40. They came. I was so stoked to see what people got. This is fun to me. It's like mystery random Blink stuff. It's like a little treasure chest that you open up and have no clue. So I did an Instagram live opening mine the other day. I was super pleased with mine. I got the Dogs Eating Dogs long sleeve shirt. I got a Jingle Balls sweater. I got an Enema shirt I didn't have. I got a Back at the Beach shirt I didn't have. Blink puzzle, the Untitled Smiley split personality mask, tons of accessories, smaller stuff. I got a VIP badge from Enema, a VIP badge from the Vegas show. So I mean, for $40, like that Jingle Balls sweatshirt was probably $50, so it's definitely a huge value on your money, and super rad. I saw some folks get Blink California Deluxe vinyl, which would be so fucking sick. Those have shot up in price. Um, Somebody got a signed hat. Somebody got a signed symbol, which is sick. So there was certainly some rad stuff in there. If you don't know what those are, don't know what I'm talking about, I think the Instagram lives I've been doing are saved on the pod page. So go to the pod Instagram page at 182 News Pod, and you can watch those. I think they're archived. It was 30 minutes, kind of interacting with folks in the chat and opening up those, which was a lot of fun. Looking forward to this year. This is really the 30th anniversary of Blink, which is crazy when you think about that. Here we are, 2022. Blink, really was getting started late in 1992-ish. So we're looking at 30 years of Blink, which is wild. And Mr. T-Shirt has been teasing some celebrations for that. Most notably, the OG Blink logo that was based off of Alice in Wonderland. It's a little bunny, and he's kind of hovering over that little circle, that little clock-looking thing. That is one that Scott drew, and basically Mr. T-Shirt, it looks like he's had that remade, and there's all different types of different color stickers coming out. So really looking forward to some rad Blink merch this year in celebration of 30 years of our favorite band, which is fucking wild. So that's kind of where we are with Blink on that side of things. To switch gears a little bit, let's move on to Matt. Matt, again, like, he's so sporadic on social media that you just don't know like what he's doing. He'll literally go like 2 weeks without saying anything, and then I'll wake up and he'll have like 17 posts at 3 a.m. Obviously, he just played with Trio. I'm honestly like shocked that they didn't come out with like a sneaky album or song or two. I really thought they were, but I guess maybe they just haven't been at that point. Part of why I think is Dan has been busy with, he's coming out with a solo-ish ordeal, Dan Andriano and the Bygones, an album called Dear Darkness on February 11th. So if you like Trio, support Dan and listen to that, download, stream that. Looking forward to that next month. But obviously Trio was busy with the Bad Religion tour. They played that. And then like most folks, I'm sure bands and, folks in the entertainment industry that can try to take a little break off around the holidays. It just makes sense. But Trio has shows coming up in March in the UK. So that's a great chance for folks across the pond to get out and see them, which is rad. So obviously I don't think anything with Blink is going to be lined up in March. Now, what he's doing in the next 2 months, I mean, he could totally be working with Blink all of February at this point for what we can see. And then again, this huge festival that everybody is losing their shit over is in October, but that's kind of a one-off. So this festival is called When We Were Young. It just got announced out of nowhere the other day. I honestly thought somebody was like trolling or something when I first saw it. And I mean, it's like every band that damn near like you can name is gonna be there, other than Blink or Angels or any of them. And I'm looking at it and I got a couple thoughts on this. So first off, there's some of the bands are like My Chemical Romance, The Used, Taking Back Sunday, Census Fail, Jimmy Eat World, Neck Deep, which I'm stoked for. Part of the reason I'm super stoked for that is obviously they're from across the pond. I'm hoping when they come over here, they line up a couple other US shows, so that'd be rad. A Day to Remember is playing. By the way, did you all know that, so the lead singer of A Day to Remember, Jeremy McKinnon, speaking of Neck Deep and speaking of ADTR throughout this, did you all know that Jeremy produced Life's Not Out to Get You by Neck Deep? If you haven't listened to Neck Deep, I know I've plugged them 50 times on this episode, but they're fucking amazing. And one of the albums that is probably one of the most iconic pop punk albums of the last, I don't know, decade for sure, is their album called Life's Not Out to Get You. It has amazing artwork. It's really rad. Go back and listen to that. It's just banger after banger, super catchy shit. And of all things, Jeremy from A Day to Remember actually produced that, which makes perfect sense, but it just blew my mind. So anyways, you have all these rad bands lined up to play, and one of my first thoughts is, This reminds me of the Fire Festival. This reminds me of the Fire Fest or whatever it was called, ordeal that there's documentaries about. Blink was actually scheduled to play at, that ended up just being a colossal scam slash failure. And I'm thinking, good God, I hope the promoter is reputable on this and that this actually happens, because logistically, and I think all these bands are supposed to play in one day. I mean, I'm looking at that lineup thinking, for one, yeah, holy fuck, it's every band ever pretty much in this scene. um, and how in the fuck are you all going to play on one day? I don't know how many people there are going to be. I don't know how big this venue is, but I think I mentioned it earlier. My second thought is, God, that's kind of scary with that many people. And with this fucking coronavirus, it still terrifies me to kind of book plane tickets and hotels, because you never know how this is going to play out. Um, Speaking of which, one thing that I think I need to start doing if I book plane tickets and hotels and shit, as much as I don't want to pay for that stupid ass extra insurance every time you check out, I think I'm going to start doing that, because you just never know with this stuff anymore, because bands are literally having to cancel like an hour. I mean, the Neck Deep, when they had to cancel, it was like 2 hours before sound check. So it's just, you don't know when this shit is going to pop up anymore. But I think they added a second day. I don't know. I hope it happens. I hope all the bands get paid. I hope it's amazing. But for me, ah, I'm not going to book a flight and hotel to Vegas, with the current situation, as bad as I hate to say that. And honestly, I don't know that I would feel particularly safe in a field of 100,000 people. I don't know. I don't know. It's just fucked up. Maybe everything will magically be different by then. I wish it nothing but the best. But when I'm looking at the lineup, I'm thinking I would trade all of these in for one Blink show. Just one Blink show. Ah, we'll get there. I gotta see Blink live ASAP. I know you all are with me. It's been too long. Again, for the OGs, we know what it's like to kind of go several years without Blink, and then we were super fucking spoiled from Cali through 9. I've tried to tell people that. You have no idea how spoiled we were with so much Blink activity and music and tours, and then Angels, and then Simple Creatures. I mean, I think I talked about this in one of my streams the other day. It's like, looking back, 2019 summer was fucking sick. And I did not think, I mean, I knew at the time, yeah, it was rad, but you kind of take it for granted where, you're going to Blink shows every summer and you're seeing your favorite bands and going to sound checks and shit. And then, here we are not being able to do that for a year and a half, 2 years. And it's like, shit, that summer was sick. I mean, you had Blink playing Enema front to back. You had Neck Deep opening. Angels and Airwaves was back for the first time in years. You had Simple Creatures. I mean, it was just crazy. It was such a rad fucking summer, and I hope we get a chance to, get back to that at some point. So, anyways, that's really all we kind of know with Matt and Alkaline Trio. I don't know if they're actively working on stuff in the studio. I know Matt had mentioned before their tour that he had some songs narrowed down that he was happy with. So I was really hoping they would kind of surprise us like they did with the last album, Is This Thing Cursed? It just kind of popped out of nowhere. So I don't know where they are on that. I'm hoping we get some new music out of them, for sure, pretty soon, hopefully. Okay. Last thing I want to talk about a little bit today, not too much here, but Angels and Airwaves and Tom. So Tom is, going back out on tour with Angels and Airwaves again in March. So this is still part of the Life Forms tour, the Life Forms album cycle. Obviously, the U.S. got their portion end of last year, which was great. I've talked about that extensively, went to that, had an amazing time, had an entire episode about it. If you need to go back and check that, go for it. And now it's time for the folks overseas to get a chance to see it. And I don't know that they've been able to see Tom in several years. So this is really cool. I'm stoked for my friends overseas who are going to get a chance to see Tom and Angels over there. So that's going down in March. Now, again, originally, the plan was for these new songs to kind of launch with the movie. Ultimately, obviously, that didn't end up happening. Last we heard, they were still kind of hoping some sort of deluxe edition could come out with this movie, Monsters of California. So this is the movie that Tom has directed. It's finished. I mean, they finished filming, over quarantine, I think last year. I think they're still working on scoring it and maybe, post-production, obviously. Tom posted a tease of it the other day, said it's coming out this year. So what's interesting to me is looking at, the March dates. They had said that they had two more songs for Lifeforms that were pretty much done and could have been on the album, but they kind of held them off. I'm wondering if they end up dropping a song prior to that to kind of give it a little push into this March UK tour. But the more I look at it, it's just a handful of shows. So honestly, I would be shocked if they go about it, doing it that route. And I think ultimately when this movie comes out, and he hasn't given a date other than this year, which is the first we've seen. So I don't know if that's going to end up being summer. I don't know if it's going to end up being fall, but I'm assuming at that point we will get some sort of limited edition or extended cut of Lifeforms that at minimum has those two songs on it, which of course would be rad. I'm stoked for that. Tom's pumped this movie up quite a bit. It's apparently kind of loosely based on his life and upbringing, and of course is completely filled with his humor in it. So can't wait to watch that whenever that comes out. And I think at that point, that is when we'll get the new Angel stuff, whenever that is. That's kind of it. The last thing I want to mention is all of the content that myself and Davy Jones have put together, all of the research that really Davy, and there's a dude Q182, there's a dude Blink Still Rules, and there's a dude Tibout. All of the research that has been put into that sticker strap and the hours and hours that Davey and myself have spent putting that information out there and getting the research out there and giving people guides and giving step-by-step instructions for folks to recreate this sticker strat. I mean, countless hours. Keep that in mind. I'm telling you, keep it in mind. Just know where this all kind of came together, where this kind of sticker strat revival started, where all the information comes from. Keep it in mind. I do want to mention that actually just reminded me, we had a breaking new discovery on the sticker strat, courtesy of Mark Hoppus, the one and only. So for those of you who have watched all the videos on the YouTube page about the sticker strat, I mean, there's literally like 4 of them out there. It's hours. So for those of you who, if you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, this is Tom's iconic Fender sticker strat. It's the white one that's loaded up with stickers. He played it early days of Blink, really like 95-ish through 97. Tom has confirmed that he recorded Dude Ranch with it, which is amazing. It's an iconic guitar. I built one with the help of Davey and the folks I just mentioned, and I documented that process. So for those of you who are into like guitars or toms or Blink history and shit like that, go to the 182 News YouTube page. I think I even just put together a little playlist on it. And you can sit there and watch Davy Jones and I talk about this damn guitar for probably 8 hours. And I know for some of you, that's like, oh my God, it's fucking miserable. I'd rather watch, the next season of Ozark or something. And to an extent, I can agree with you. But if you're interested in this type of thing, check those out for sure. And if you've watched those, you'll know that based off of the research, which it's insane what has gone into this. I mean, a lot of this is just based off of really shitty photographs from like 1996. That they were able to identify these stickers. Davey recreated them. It's amazing to see, what Blink fans and kind of the nerddom of Blink can bring together. One of the big missing components, and it's mentioned in those videos, and I have the best pictures we had at the time, was the back of the guitar. We didn't know too much about the back of the guitar. We knew there was a Descendants one. There was a photo that you can kind of see the back on the Cheshire Cat release party. You could see Descendants, and then there was a 7 Seconds, and that was kind of what we knew about the back. Now, we had some super pixelated, I think it was from the original M&M's video, a super pixelated, shitty screenshot from like a VHS of the back, and you could tell there was more shit on there, but we had no clue what. Everything else has really been documented to a T and we really know about. Well, last week, Mark had been going through some of his old photos and stuff that he got from his mom and lo and behold, he found a beautiful picture that shows the back of that guitar fucking perfectly. And that's what's so fun about this project is it's like literally from the time I did one video to the third, like all this new information has popped up. And I finally think I'm done with this fucking thing, getting the last video out, which Davy Jones found a 40th anniversary and we stickered his. I thought I was finally done with this thing. Now we know what the back is. So it's I don't know. They're already working on recreating the stickers. I don't know if I'm gonna end up re-stickering my back, but all I'm saying is if you're interested in that, go check those out and just remember the sticker strat, okay? Remember the sticker strat, folks. All right, that is all I have for today. I think I am going to go play some PS5. I got a new Tom Clancy Extraction game. I want to play some of that as I finish my coffee. I wanted to get out a new episode today. Again, want to thank you all for listening, for hanging out as always. I mean, I love chatting Blink with you all, and I love the engagement, and you all have been so kind to me, and I want to keep it going for season 3. Let's have some fun. Hopefully we can get some rad guests on, and I will talk to you all very soon. Peace.